Welcome, everybody to the Wrestle for Real podcast. I am your official host, DJ Rob V. You know how we do it each and every Monday night. You got me tonight. The team is taking tonight, so I'm gonna run through the show. Feel free to join the conversation. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Please don't forget to share and join the conversation as usual. So take the time right now, hit that subscribe button. So, a Monday Night Raw from Springfield, 9/15/2025, September 15th, started out. We got some tension in the back with Jay Uso and LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. So, seeing where they're going with this and not really sure, excuse me, is keeping Jimmy Uso in the loop right now, keeping him active with LA Knight. Excuse me, with LA Knight as well. So, Jay Uso's pretty much been in the main event picture, so these other guys are pretty much giving him something to do. Definitely some tension amongst Jay Uso and LA Knight. So that feud may be on the way. It may be coming sometime soon. Maybe on the way. Don't know what that's going to look like or how that's actually going to play out. But that's how the show started off with Jimmy trying to get in between Jay Uso and LA Knight. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as these guys can stay relevant, stay active, at least in the hunt, possibly for the title picture, then we definitely got something to look forward to. Keeping LA Knight active is very important. So he hasn't quite gotten to the mountaintop. So we'll see if he can get there. And Jimmy Uso just really came over to Monday Night Raw, has been kind of intertwined with this and may have foregone his goals of being a singles champion. So we'll see. But I guess more so the official start of the night came with John Cena coming out, hometown guy. Not sure if this is the last. I don't think this is the last time in Boston, but coming out hometown guy. So he got the ovation. Came out, basically did one of those classic Cena promos, getting ready for his match against Brock Lesnar. He only has a few dates left in order to make these appearances and be inside the ring. Wish we could have gotten a match, an impromptu match or something like that out of it, but we definitely got an appearance. He did what he normally does. So I think this farewell tour is going pretty well. I don't know what more could have been done at this particular point so far. We've seen him win the title at the main event of WrestleMania Night 2. We've seen him lose the title and basically pass the torch to Cody Rhodes. We've seen him turn heel. We've seen him against CM Punk. We've seen him in an elimination chamber with a bunch of guys. Logan Paul, one of the newer guys that's around, and now we're getting him in a classic match against Brock Lesnar. This match hasn't gotten much build, but at the same time, I'm not sure that it needs much build. It's kind of one of those things where it doesn't really need to build. You know, these are two big names. I think that they should probably close the show at WrestlePalooza just because of the global reach of being in partnership with ESPN. I think that is very necessary for these guys to probably close the show. Even though for wrestling fans, AJ Lee and CM Punk versus Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins is probably been a more interesting match and one that's had a bigger and better build up. But sometimes when you get two big names in there and there's not many names bigger in the world of wrestling, like Cena and Brock Lesnar, you really don't need to build. Hopefully, these guys are able to put on a great match. I don't see why they couldn't. Cena's been putting on really, really good matches in this farewell tour. So I think that's going to continue and possibly be the main event just because of the stage that they're on. I think if it was anywhere else on any other network, probably would have gave that to the tag match. But I think with it being on ESPN, we got a chance of getting Cena and Lesnar in that main event and something to keep the people interested and keep the people watching until the end. After this, we had a match with Roxanne and Lyra, two ladies I'm a big fan of that I definitely think deserves more spotlight and more time. I wouldn't have been mad if these two were actually fighting for the women's championship. I think that they would definitely bring more to the table in terms of their overall appeal excuse me, to the WWE universe. I think they would have definitely did that. But Roxanne and Lyra here had a solid match. Obviously, Raquel got involved, and Bailey ended up coming out as well. Lyra was able to get the win in this one. So I don't know, I like the match. I like these two going at it. Hopefully, they can see each other down the line. I think this entire match really was to build up Bailey coming back and making an appearance and coming back as the hugger, friendly Bailey. She gave out a bunch of hugs, was very happy go lucky tonight. So we got to see that version of her, even though we've seen these vignettes and with her kind of being unhinged or playing both sides, kind of talking to herself in her own head, whatever's been going on there. Giving us something to kind of keep us off balance when it comes to Bailey right now. So I thought it went pretty smooth, and like I said, seeing Lyra out there, seeing Roxanne out there, that definitely helped things along. They had a pretty solid match, which is to be expected. I think once we have some heat behind their matches and once we have a good story behind their matches, it's going to get better when they do have the chance to go at it again. Maybe there's a title on the line, or maybe it's just a strong story that's being told. But for now, it was definitely a good match between the two, and getting Bailey back out there definitely was a good look. Raquel was just there to, create some interference to get Bailey out there. I'm not sure, as I haven't been, what is Raquel's real trajectory. She just kind of seems like the muscle, which is not bad, but it's also not something I believe have much legs to it. So excuse me. So we'll see how that goes. But Lyra did get the victory in that one. So El Grande Americano versus Dragon Lee. These guys had a great match. This version of El Grande Americano has definitely been putting on. He's been very active. He's been in AAA. He's been on the main roster on Monday Night Raw. So he's definitely been a very key contributor. So this match came with some of the antics we come to expect with the El Grande Americano. He had the two different El Grandes out there with him, and then AJ Lee came out, fought off one of them. Excuse me, he came out, fought off one of them, and wasn't quite enough. Got Dragon Lee distracted. El Grande ended up picking up the victory. So we still have yet to figure out where this story is going, but we have the potential at some point to discover who's under all of these masks, and where the original El Grande Americano is going to come back and where that's going to fit in. The work that they've been doing, he's been doing in AAA, the work that he's been doing with Dominic Mysterio. So it's a lot of things happening right now with El Grande Americano that I think is all interesting. Dragon Lee is staying on TV. He's staying relevant. He's staying being used. So that's a good look for Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee and El Grande Americano is not going to put on a bad match. It's not going to happen. So they can always trust those guys to go out there. You mix in AJ Styles, a few antics. And I think we had a great segment that was pulled off this particular time. So we'll continue to see how that's going to go. And more importantly, I think at some point, the big goal is to bring some more understanding to what's going on with the El Grande Americano character. I think that's the main payoff we're going to get out of all of this, is really seeing who's under there and what happens from there is going to be really where they're building towards. We also had Penta and Kofi Kingston. A little bit of interference from Grayson Waller. Penta so far has, the last few weeks anyway, has been very involved with the New Day. So again, there's a lot of injuries. So these guys are taking advantage of the TV time. New Day is one of those that they like to give TV time to and keep them relevant and keep them on TV and not be forgotten. Grayson Waller's kind of been tagging along with them, behind them. So for him, it's definitely been a way to stay on TV, because he was on TV a lot less when he was partnered with Austin Theory, who's been out of action for some time now. So we're going to see if this continues, which I'm ready for this to end. I don't think we need Penta going up against the New Day every week. I think we need him to kind of freshen up with something. So maybe they're buying some time, getting ready for something else, something new, something a little hotter for him. But in the meantime, this is what he's kind of going through and dealing with New Day. So he did end up picking up the victory. The match wasn't bad. Obviously, it's Kofi Kingston and Penta, so not really expecting a bad match. But for the most part, just not getting a lot of heat on the matches. So that's kind of where the disinterest comes into play, and New Day just hasn't been as interesting as they've been at different points in the past. So we'll continue to see if these guys are able to turn this into something, or if they need to break this off. So right now, I think they need to break it off. We really don't need New Day doing much right now. Maybe they could use a break, maybe some time away. Maybe they need to revamp something. I don't think the heel turn has gone as great as some might have predicted or maybe hoped that it would. just because it didn't involve a Big E payoff. And now that we've seen him so much, it's kind of like nothing to really get excited about or really get behind. So maybe they'll find a way to turn this around for the greater good. Otherwise, we're stuck with Penta fighting New Day every single week and possibly lowering his stock at the moment. But Penta will likely recover from this and continue to rise up the ranks once he's done with New Day. So it may just be something to stay active. We had some backstage stuff with the Kabuki Warriors and Io Sky. I think it's Stephanie Vaquer. It's a lot of goofy stuff that they're doing with them. I think that maybe making them a little bit more serious may be more beneficial to them. I know there may be a segment of the audience that enjoys that style of goofy, but I don't think that is benefiting any of the ladies, the Kabuki Warriors or Io Sky or anything like that. But one thing is they're constantly being featured. So that's definitely a positive. They set up a match with Kairi Sane and Stephanie Vaquer for later on in the night. That's pretty much what you're trying to do. You're trying to get on the card. Obviously, the WWE is high on all of the ladies involved here. Kyrie Sane seemingly gets the short end of the stick in most cases. Stephanie Vaquer hasn't been very active in the ring as of late, so that's a good look for her to kind of get back out there because she's fighting for the women's championship at WrestlePalooza. So for her to not be active leading up to this has definitely been taken away from the allure of that match happening between her and Io Sky. So I don't think they've done a great job building Stephanie once the injury happened with Naomi. I mean, once Naomi went out and they couldn't do the match at Clash of Paris, and she's just been kind of on ice for a while. Io Sky's been constantly staying in our face and building up her name some more and staying relevant and giving people something to look forward to. But her dance partner at WrestlePalooza really hasn't in terms of Stephanie Vaquer. So this was a way to get her active. So I'm not mad at this, but definitely not super hot on the way this has been built up. I think there could have been some things they should have started doing a little bit ago with Stephanie Vaquer, or at least keeping her in the ring, keeping her active, because her build in NXT was done at the highest level, and then she came to the main roster and it was still building her at a very high level. And then somewhere all of that kind of wore off. And after the evolution where she won the right to face the champion at Clash of Paris, she just seemed to kind of cool off. And that's kind of continued on. So she's going to need to get that fire back. And getting her in a match definitely is a step in the right direction. Problem is, we're only a handful of days away from WrestlePalooza. So it's not a whole lot they could do at that particular point, but it's something that they could do now to kind of at least remind the fans and the audience that this is somebody you want to care about. This is a match you want to care about. And maybe we'll get there one day. But we did end up getting to that match, and it wasn't a bad match with Kyrie Sane and Stephanie Vaquer. I think they had a solid match. These ladies can go in the ring. It's just not often we see them in the ring. So it was a good look to let Asuka sit this one out and let Io sit this one out as far as being a part of the actual match. It definitely um, almost broke down a little bit. Stephanie Vaquer went out her way to get Asuka involved. She ended up pulling off the victory, and as Asuka looked like they was about to attack, Io Sky came out and I guess in her own way let Asuka know she wanted this to be a fair fight. She wanted to take Stephanie Vaquer out on her own. So I thought that was a pretty good look. I thought that was a pretty good look in terms of what they're trying to build towards at WrestlePalooza. I'm not sure if it's going to be a heel turn for Sky, and this has all been kind of swerving us, or if she's really, if she's, excuse me, the babyface side and all of this. Or we just recently seen her with the championship that she did lose by getting cashed in from Naomi. So we'll see if they want to put it back on her. If not, I don't think it really hurts much. I think it helps Stephanie more. But I really don't think that they've made this title feel like a very relevant title. I don't think that they've made us care about this title since Naomi lost it. So I'm not sure that they're really paying much attention to this, which tells me it may go on Stephanie because she's been very under the radar and it could make sense for her to get that title because they just seem like they've forgotten about this championship. So I don't know if they're willing to put it on EO, but it's possible. We did just see it, so I don't know what that this next run with EO having it would look like. Rhea Ripley's already made it known that she's coming for whoever wins this particular title. I guess they decided not to put her in that particular match and just to kind of keep her appearances a little special, a little few and far between, not doing too much right now. A lot of backstage stuff with her, but I'm not sure what they're going to do with Io Sky. I think that they may allow, it's a scenario where the Kabuki Warriors could come in and either cost her the match or help her win the match. But I think it's safe to say that they're going to be involved in the match. They're definitely going to be involved in the match. And what that's going to look like remains to be seen. And if Stephanie's going to have any help remains to be seen. But it's going to be a tough road for Stephanie to pull off that win. But this is the only women's match on the card. So hopefully these ladies show up at WrestlePalooza on that stage on ESPN on the this new platform and this new partnership and being the inaugural WrestlePalooza, so that they'll be able to say, hey, we kicked this thing off and we kicked this thing off right. So I'm not big on this match, but I understand why they're doing it and hope the global appeal that they're looking for, they are able to get out of this. If not, then, it was just there, but that wouldn't be surprising the way they've treated this women's championship since Naomi has vacated the title. So wouldn't be surprised there. We did have a segment which, could have been considered the segment of the night. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins face to face with AJ Lee and CM Punk. Husband and wife duos. Obviously, Becky, Women's Intercontinental Championship, Seth Rollins, World Heavyweight Championship. So they're holding the gold right now. AJ Lee hasn't been wrestling in the ring for 10 years. CM Punk just got back a few years ago. His feud with Seth Rollins has been ongoing and something that probably was losing a little bit of steam just because we had seen so many matches, we had seen so many interactions, we had seen so many attacks. So it was getting to a point where we was kind of trying to figure out where they're going to keep going and how. And they injected Becky, which led to the return of AJ Lee, which everybody was clamoring for, and in my opinion was done right and done well. So now it's just time for her to perform. It's time for her to show up and perform. You could see in most cases she's not what Becky is on the microphone. So hopefully, that match can look really, really good. But I think that it's just Seth Rollins and Becky's time right now. Obviously, they came after, or their height of their careers have come after AJ Lee's run and CM Punk's run. So they're they really running the show right now, being a part of the division, and I don't think that's going to change. I think that a lot of people may want to see AJ Lee actually win it, actually get that pinfall over Becky, but I don't know how necessary it is. But I do think it's going to lead to probably an women's intercontinental feud between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. But either way, it's going to be a great match. I'm not sure it's going to close the show with John Cena and Brock Lesnar going at it. I'm not sure if it's going to do that, but it's one of those things where they definitely have two main event level matches. I think if one doesn't close the show, one may need to open the show. Just my opinion, but I think we're going to get a good match out of it because it's a tag match. We get a chance to hide any deficiencies that or ring rust that AJ Lee may have, and I think Becky is the right person to put her in there with. She's in good hands with this particular match coming up. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if AJ Lee still got something in the tank, and then what Seth Rollins and CM Punk is going to be able to do, in addition to Becky Lynch, who's been the hottest in the women's division for a little while now. But great segment. Had us thinking that Becky and Seth had some dissension amongst them. Obviously, just pulling the wool over the eyes of AJ Lee and CM Punk and getting the jump on them, getting the drop on them. So that was definitely a good look for them. And then we're gonna, see how this match plays out, man. But I expect that this feud is gonna continue for quite some time right now, and maybe we'll even get a Paul Heyman sighting in a second. Main event of the night was Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, the Bronze, versus Jimmy Uso, who decided to be LA Knight's partner at the last minute. Solid tag match. We expect to see the Vision in the main event, regardless of whoever's on the other side. Lately, it's been between Jimmy Uso, Jay Uso, LA Knight, CM Punk. Normally, this breaks down and ends in some kind of brawl, and we got that. But we did get a win first between for Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed did pick up the victory in this one, and that's understandable as they're more of the official tag team. But Jimmy and LA Knight definitely gave a good effort and also those guys were able to stay on the same page. After the match, Jey Uso came out to try to lend his hand, swinging chairs, things of that nature, and apparently seeming to patch it up with LA Knight before he was attacked and caught some blood force trauma from LA Knight. So, and leaving Jimmy Uso in the middle once again to try to figure everything out. Jimmy and Jay have a tag match against Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker at WrestlePalooza. I expect the LA Knight will be somewhere pretty close watching this match. So it should be an interesting match. The Usos back together against the Vision, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. This will probably fall somewhere in the middle of the card. But I think we got the typical main event that we typically get on Monday Night Raw. So I'm not surprised that it ended the way that it did. Tonight's show was pretty solid. I think it had some highs and some lows, but I think it was more up, more highs than it was lows. So we will be having a special WrestlePalooza show this Saturday, immediately following the show. WrestlePalooza, we will be covering that. The team will be back together again. May even have some special guests. We'll see how we do. But please don't forget to tune in this Saturday. Don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to share the Wrestle for Real podcast. We definitely appreciate the support we've been getting, and we are grateful for the support that we know is on the way. So please hit that subscribe button, and please look forward to us being here this Saturday, immediately following WrestlePalooza, the first show for ESPN and WWE in terms of a PLE. And we will be back next Monday at our regularly scheduled time, a little earlier than tonight, immediately following Monday Night Raw. And we will be talking WrestlePalooza. We will be talking WWE Monday Night Raw, and we will be talking about what's next. But in the meantime, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all in a few days.